The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm and applies pressure against the neck, leading to a tap or unconsciousness. The Darce, on the other hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another episode of the Darce Podcast. Get your guard up because I'm here with my guys, Slick Montana, Mr. Plus Money, and we're breaking down every single fight on this UFC Fight Night card. Nicolau taking on Perez. I almost said Cop, but it's not Manel Cop. That fight is once again off. Alex Perez steps in on short notice, and that will be the main event for this kind of weak Fight Night card. But as I always say, if two people are punching each other in the face, I'm betting on it. And so are my guys, Mr. Plus and Slick Montana. Shout out my guy, Cal, on the ones and twos behind the scenes. Here we go into the Fight Night card, fellas. Off a wild UFC 300 card, then PFL, took a week off. We're back at it, and I'm ready to rock. Let's jump right into the first night of the fight. I can speak. I'm not dyslexic at all. It's Mahashate Hayisar. He added his other name in there. Hayisar Mahashate. He used to be the one-name wonder like Madonna and Seal. Right now he's adding both names. I kind of don't like it. Taking on Gabriel Benitez. Mahashate, minus 205 favorite. We know him from his Electric Contender Series performance and his knockout over Steve Garcia. He's got a strong right hand. But then he faltered against Rafa Garcia, more experienced, more all-around fighter, right? He takes on an experienced veteran kickboxer in Gabriel Benitez, hard-nosed guy who's taken some losses, but to pretty good competition later as of late. So I'll throw it to Mr. Plus to kick it off. Welcome to the Darce Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Plus, what are you thinking about this first fight of the night?
We appreciate you guys being here. Hey, fights are back on, and that means we are throwing units around. You know that. Couldn't get enough of UFC 300 right on the PFL, and now we're back. They gave us a week off, but here we are. And this is a good one to start the night. I will say, this card's got some pretty shitty fights, but this is one of the better ones to start things off. And I actually got to lean on this one, man. I'm going with the youth. I'm going with Mahashate. I think he gets it done, man. This is going to be a stand-up fight. This is going to be who shoots first, and I think Benitez is the guy who's going to shoot first, man, because they're going to be standing and banging, and that's both of their style. And don't get me wrong, Benitez has hands, and he's not nobody. He's been around forever. He is a dog. However, I got to go with Mahashate, man. He's got the strong hands. He's a way bigger guy. This guy is like 6 foot to 5'8". He's going to be bigger in there, stronger in there, and I think he really comes with the hands. I could see a knockout in the first or second round by Mahashate, man. So I'm going him. I'm going to parlay piece him, and I think it's going to be a great way to start the night. He's made me money before. I'm taking him again.
Mr. Plus going with Mahashate for the size advantage, maybe for the power advantage. I mean, we know he's down for a brawl. We've seen him get into some nasty fights. Like you said, 6 foot to 5'8", so he will be the bigger man in there. And you're going with the youth. He's a significantly younger fighter, but less experienced, though. Slick, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Mahashate in this fight. I just did not like what I seen from Gabriel Benitez his last fight. Just slow, not really having to pop in his shots to really falter like a guy like Jim Miller. That Jim Miller doesn't really have that great of striking defense. And I just don't think he's going to be able to really crack Mahashate with something that's going to make Mahashate respect him. One thing I hate about Benitez that I've seen in the David Onama fight, in the Jim Miller fight, and even in the Billy Quarantillo fight, is that when this guy gets put back against the cage, he shells up like there's no tomorrow. And that's one thing you don't want to do against a guy like Mahashate, because he's one of those guys that if he sees something connects and he sees he hurts you, he's going to go in for the kill. And I think this is going to be a stand-up fight. Gabriel Benitez has some grappling in his background, but that's more of other people initiating the takedowns and the grappling with him. Mahashate won't do that. So I think Mahashate gets this done. I honestly think he could get him out of there in the first round. So I like Mahashate by KO and also as a parlay piece.
Wow, early night maybe for Gabriel Benitez. And I mean, he is a veteran who's faced some good level competition. Like you said, Jim Miller, he got finished, just 3 months in that fight. He was put away by David Onama. He's fighting some pretty good fighters versus Mahashate, limited experience. We know he's gotten into some nasty brawls. For me, I think it's a pass. I'm not really interested in laying minus 205 for a guy like Mahashate, whose knockout over Steve Garcia is definitely impressive. We know Steve Garcia's got those sharp hands, really good boxing. But Garcia was getting reckless in that fight, man. He was walking into the fire. I think he thought he could just put him away easy. He got cracked with a nice right hand. Mahashate does have some stinging shots in that right hand. Like Mr. Plus said, this ain't going to be a grappling match. These guys are going to stand and bang. And I do worry about Benitez in a fight like that. But to me, I'm almost leaning his side. If you make me pick, if we're putting it on our official/unofficial record, by the way, guys, we'll start keeping record of fight by fight, all of our picks. I think I'll take dog in this one. I think I'll take Benitez to have that veteran experience. Maybe the body kicks. At plus 170, I'm compelled to say that if this is a stand and bang fight, that Mahashate's defense ain't so good either. So I agree with Slick that Benitez leaves a lot to be desired there. His grappling, I wish he would go to the grappling in this fight if I'm backing him as a dog, but it ain't going to be that way. It's going to be a stand and bang affair. And I think maybe the body kicks, low kicks, and maybe the veteran experience can get it done. So I will go dog as an unofficial pick, but I haven't bet it by any means. I think this is going to be a nasty fight, perhaps. I'm saying Benitez, veteran experience, maybe gets it done over a guy that might be overrated for his Contender Series performance. We shall see. Next fight on up the card, we have, I'm going to hype up these fights as much as I can, guys, but we know this ain't a card that we're running home to write mama about. All right, next fight on up the card, although some of the female fights are pretty interesting to me. We have Ivana Petrovic taking on Na Liang. And guys, the odds are wide on this fight. Holy smokes, as I stare at my sports books. Ivana Petrovic minus 550. Na Liang as a massive plus 410 dog. We've seen her in some UFC fights before. Maybe not look so UFC caliber. She's a grappler. She's a wrestler. But she does so very desperately, shooting takedowns from 50 yards away. And when she can't land the takedowns, guys, it doesn't go very well for her. Against Ivana Petrovic, who's got, some kickboxing, who also has grappling too. I mean, she's a minus 500 favorite for a reason, right? She's got an overall game. Mr. Plus, I got to imagine you're probably not on the Mr. Plus side on this one, although it is your namesake. This is probably not a plus money play you'd back. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I'm not taking a dog shot here. This ain't one. She is a punching bag, that one, Yang. We've seen her get tossed around before, man. I'm surprised she still fights, man. And this girl could have permanent damage the way I've seen her get beat before. Yeah, I just think this is an easy fight for the favorite. There's levels. What's her last name? Petrovic. I'm not betting this at all, but if we're making official picks, I'm on the favorite for this one. There's no shot I'm taking Yang here. It's just not happening. And I'm gonna have a drink during this fight. I'm not even gonna watch it.
This is as Slick likes to say, do your laundry, do the dishes, run the vacuum, right? Mr. Plus likes to pour a drink during these ones. He's saying not even worth the watch, but he'll take Petrovic as a big favorite. Not worth betting and not worth taking a dog shot either. I agree. Liang has looked rough in some spots. Slick, do you think she's got a prayer in this fight?
Nah, man. I just honestly, this is the fight that I think Liang Na gets cut. I thought she was gonna get cut against JJ Aldrich. Her last fight ended up. She actually looked pretty good in the first round. Got a takedown, but I honestly think that she's just one of those type of girls that she just goes in there and her cardio goes from 100 to 0 in the second round like nothing. Like we've seen JJ Aldrich and every girl that she has fought in the last 3 fights, Carnosi, Gomez Juarez, like just take advantage of her once she's not able to take control of a fight. And I actually like this fight to not go the distance once I'm able to see odds. Liang Na, she has over 26 fights. Yeah, 26 fights, and almost all of them, 23 of them went inside the distance. She's a punching bag. Like 6 of her losses have come inside. I mean, she has 7 losses. 6 of them have come inside the distance. I just think Petrovic's I think she's a pretty good striker. But honestly, I wouldn't even falter if she's able to crack Liang Na with something and get the grappling going and maybe get a rear naked choke. So I'm gonna take Petrovic in this fight by sub.
Slick, how do you see the sub going down? You think she cracks her and guillotines her? What do you see in your mind's eye?
I just think that she probably shoots a takedown. Petrovic probably stuffs it, goes around the back, and just gets a rear naked choke.
Easy enough, right? I got to agree with you guys. It's probably Petrovic side for me. Next fight on up the card, we've got a switch up in fights here, guys. James Yonta, Peruvian guy. I hope I'm saying his name. It's the yeah, right? It's the sound. Taking on now Chris Padilla. new fighter scheduled to face him. He's supposed to fight Gabe Green, a guy that we know, but now Chris Padilla. So we don't have much info on Chris Padilla. We'll get to you guys later in that fight. Maybe we'll have a slick report. Make sure you have the YouTube shorts on the Darce Podcast channel, and we'll get you our thoughts as the odds come out, more information surrounds that fight. So we'll move on from that. Make sure you're tuned into all the content on the Darce Podcast. Slick will get you guys with an update on that fight. We will move on to the next fight. Ladies going at it. Ketlin Souza taking on Marnik Mann. Souza, minus 350 favorite. Mann, plus 275. We know Mann is tough. She's hard-nosed. She's got head kicks. But I think she's outmatched skill-wise in this fight. Souza coming off a tough loss to Karine Silva, a fighter that's also on this card. Beast of a grappler. Really interesting-looking prospect. Souza was just up against it in that fight. But she is certainly skilled. Mr. Plus, what are you feeling about the minus 350 tag on her? Is that worth a parlay piece? Do you like Souza here?
I really do, actually. Mann is too small. I like Souza. She brings a little chaos as well. We were just talking chaos. She gave that Karine Silva a fight, that's looking like a great loss right now, because she's up and coming. She's looking like a beast, and we're going to talk about her in just a little bit. She is fighting on the card as well, like Brasco just said. But I do like Souza. I do like this as a parlay piece, and I think she's going to bring the fight. I do see a world where she could get her out of there in the third round. But, it's for me, third rounder decision. Souza. But I do like the parlay piece. I think it's a dominant victory. And she is, believe it or not, she's small, but she's bigger than this girl. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I like those round 3 decision plays. That's always a good look, right? That's a way, especially for a fight that you expect to go kind of longer, but maybe the underdog withers away later on, right? Souza's certainly looking like the more skilled opponent in this one. And Marnik Mann is tough. We've seen her go the distance in some nasty fights. But maybe Souza just too much for her. I kind of like that angle a lot. Slick, what are you feeling about this fight?
Yeah, man, I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Plus. I think Ketlin Souza is just going to be the more active fighter. Mann is just one of those types of girls that whenever she has a moment at any point in time, the other girl could just crack her, because her striking defense is horrible. And she just doesn't put out enough volume, I think, for a girl like Ketlin Souza to not keep moving forward. Like Ketlin Souza was moving forward on Karine Silva, who we know has 100% finish rate in all of her fights. So I think she's just going to keep coming forward. And I think she's just going to be able to land on Mann like there's no tomorrow. So give me Ketlin Souza as a parlay piece.
Yeah, I got to agree with it. I like her movement. I like her feinting. I like the mix-up of her strikes. I don't think Mann will quite have an answer. Unless she can land a crazy strike, cracker. That's probably her only hope. Puncher's chance, as they say, but unlikely for her. So it's unanimous there. We all like Ketlin Souza in that one. All right, next fight on up the card. We have a heavyweight slobber knocker. I'm expecting this one to be a sloppy one. It's Don'Tale Mayes taking on Caio Machado. And, oh, man. We're at the apex. We're in the shorter cage, right? Less space to move around. I'm expecting these guys to box and end up boxing into each other, into the clinch. A lot of clinch work against the cage, right? And to me, if that goes down all fight, guys, I kind of lean the underdog, Don'Tale Mayes, who has more UFC experience, who has a better grappling game, I think. Maybe land some trip takedowns or something against the fence. I lean the dog in a gross matchup. Machado, he's got skill. He's able to kind of move forward, keep pressure, but I don't love his boxing. And I'm going to go with the experience and perhaps the clinch work and grappling in a gross, boring fight of Don'Tale Mayes. But it's not a pick that I'm screaming atop of the mountains with. Slick, what do you think about this matchup? Do you see any value on either side?
I mean, honestly, I think I would have to I'm not going to bet this fight myself, because I just really don't want to sweat either of these guys. Like, this fight will probably be as ugly as it is probably within the first 2 minutes, because both these guys' gas tanks are horrible. Both these guys' striking is horrible. Like, Don'Tale Mayes, he's only known for overhand right. He really doesn't have nothing else. And then Caio Machado just blitzes you with stuff that doesn't knock nobody out. So I think it's a good spot for maybe Machado if he at least pushes Don'Tale Mayes against the cage, implement his clinch. Because I don't know if that guy that he fought on the Contender Series was more of a fraud. But, a lot of people was leaning his way because of the wrestling, of the grappling. And Caio Machado was actually able to stuff a lot of stuff and was able to keep this fight on the feet and then just implode more damage and put more volume. So I think I'm going to lean Caio Machado, but I'm just not putting no money on this fight.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like something I want to invest in, so to speak. Mr. Plus, do you have a side in this one that you like?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little fun. I expect to be 3 or 4 whiskeys in by the time this one starts, boys. And that being said, I'm gonna have a lot of fun sweating this one out. I know it'll probably be a slobber knocker, just like Danny said. That was hilarious, bro. Couldn't even keep it together myself over here. That's the perfect word because this will just be the ugliest clinch, maybe slug a little bit fest. I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I am gonna bet on Dontel Mays. I agree with everything you said. I like the experience, bro. I like how long he's been there. And to be completely frank with you, he is an intimidating figure to look at. And when you're fighting one on one with this size dude, like it's hard not to be a little intimidated. Now I know he's been a little off and he's lost some easy ones that he probably could have gotten dubs. It's like if he lands that big right, he can put anybody out, but he just never really lands it that often. I think with this clinch and the clinch game, I agree with what you said. He's going to do some grappling. He's going to do a little bit of ground and pound. I just think he's going to be the stronger, more aggressive fighter in there. So I'm not sleeping on the Kai Barallo guy, but or whatever this guy's name is. But I got to be all over Dontel Mays.
Kyle
I think it's good
Machado.
plus money. Kai
Yeah,
Machado, sorry.
For plus money, I agree with you. Kyle Machado, Kyle Barallo, much better fighter, middleweight guy.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm trying to think. Oh boy, another.
He's mixing his
sorry.
Kayos up. Hey, it's understandable.
This
Yeah,
one's not good here.
It's not a good one. Hey, guys, never forget. Oh, Slick, I'll throw it to you, but never forget Dontel Mays, if he does get the ground and pound going, never forget that he has humps to the face strikes against Josh Parisian. He literally was in north-south position, and he was humping him in the face in the most questionable MMA move of all time. Slick, comments on that? Next fight on up the card, we have Austin Hubbard taking on Michael Figlak. Austin Hubbard, UFC veteran at this point. I mean, he was with the promotion, then he got nixed, then he came back with the Ultimate Fighter, then he was looking pretty good. And then in his Ultimate Fighter finale fight, he got warped by Kurt Holobaugh, just overwhelmed by the grittiness and pressure and nastiness. Holobaugh beat him up. So he was looking good in his sort of return on the Ultimate Fighter. I thought maybe he reinvented himself, was looking like the best version of himself yet. And all of a sudden, he had a roadblock in his career from that loss. So he's coming back fighting Michael Figlak, who's a guy that lost his last fight to Fares Ziam. Good fighter, but weird enough, Ziam out-grappled him in that one. We know Ziam for being a kickboxer, right, and a long, rangy striker. Figlak was on the wrong end of grappling sequences. So I wonder how this one will go. Figlak minus 150 favorite. Hubbard is plus 130. I felt like the line is a little bit off. Now, I'm not thrilled about either of these fighters, but maybe the last performance against Holobaugh, just, Hubbard getting beat up, is making the line a little too wide here. I'm not upset at Hubbard plus 130. Mr. Plus, do you think I'm a little out of bounds for that one, or what do you think is worth taking a plus money shot on him?
Could I make my official pick for this one, the fight to go the distance? I mean, because that's definitely happening. Like, this fight's going the distance, that's for sure. These guys are decision hoes. They love to go decision, both of them. Unless they're
pick a side though. You got to pick a side though. Pick a side.
Unless they get finished. No, I am. I'm not betting this fight though. I really couldn't get a good read on it. I haven't seen enough from the dude who lost to Ziam. That's the only fight I've ever seen. And yeah, you're right. He out-grappled them. We just was that something new to his game? I didn't understand it. I do like Hubbard. I think this is a good bounce back spot for him. I like the dog attack at plus 130. But I'm probably gonna stay away from actually betting it. But that's the side I'm leaning.
Yeah, Figlak has experience from Cage Warriors, so now he's looking to get his first UFC fight. Slick, do you think he has a chance to do so in this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to go Michael Figlak. I just think he's going to land the more damaging shots on the feet. Austin Hubbard, he doesn't have no type of striking defense. And the one thing that I liked about Figlak is he was working on his striking against Fares Ziam, and Ziam ended up out-wrestling him. Now he ends up being at getting that wrestling and in his training camp from what I've seen. So I think he's going to be prepared for the wrestling. And if this fight stays on the feet, I think he's going to outpace Austin Hubbard and just land the more damaging shots. So give me Michael Figlak money line.
There you go. So Slick on Figlak, Mr. Plus and I leaning towards Austin Hubbard. I like Elevation Fight Team. Maybe I just have like a thing for those guys, right? I just like back in Elevation Fight Team fighters. But hey, sometimes toughness isn't good enough, right? As tough as you are, much cardio you have, just keeps you in the ring to get beat up longer. So let's see if he can turn it around in this one and get a dub. or Figlak maybe lands the more damaging strikes and Slick's prediction comes true. Next fight on up the card, we have, guys, I'm just trying to stay hyped for this card, but it is what it is. We like fighting. Ronnie Yaya taking on Victor Henry. This is an interesting matchup simply because the odds are super wide. Henry minus 520 favorite right now. Yaya plus 390. We know Yaya, pretty pure grappler. Hey, if he gets you on the ground, you're probably in trouble. Yaya's got nasty grappling skills. Henry, good all-around fighter. I like the guy. I like his makeup. He's just been fighting some pretty tough competition and hasn't quite been able to get it going into some fights. He did have a huge upset win over Raoni Barcelos. He was a huge underdog in that one. Came back to fight Rafael Assunção, good veteran, lost that one, and then won a close split decision against Tony Gravely. Pretty good, tough fighter, good wrestler. So now he takes on another good grappler, good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu player, Ronnie Yaya. By the way, his last fight ended up being a no contest against Javid Basharat, accidental groin kick that ended the fight. Henry was in a bad way, grabbing his family jewels and hoping that he can still have children and that didn't affect him too bad. So Mr. Plus, he's a massive favorite in this one. I don't want to parlay a minus 500, but I do feel like Henry gets it done, right? As long as he can avoid the ground, avoid getting his neck caught. What do you think about Victor Henry and his future potential? Do you think he can get past Yaya and keep moving forward?
Both of these guys are towards the end of their careers, to be honest. I think one's 39, the other's 36. They're both up there, you know. This minus 650 or 550, whatever Victor Henry is, that's a little crazy. I don't lean Yaya. I mean, yeah, he could definitely get it done through his grappling. If it gets there. I don't think Victor Henry's gonna let it get there. I think he's going to be the stronger guy. He's going to keep the fight where he wants it. And I think he's going to land more damage. I think that he's going to win. How's he going to win? Maybe a late second or a third round KO. But this isn't one I'm putting any chips on it again, guys. So
yeah,
I'm just going to watch and try to be entertained.
This is a watch and just, you know, fill up your cup and, you know, refill your drink, do your thing. This is a pass for Mr. Plus, but he's leaning towards the Henry side. Now, I think there might be a dissenting party on the jury. Slick, I saw you putting out some interesting content. It'll be here on the YouTube Shorts for the Slick Report on Hani Yaya. Slick, surprise the world right now.
Yeah, man, I actually threw a little bit of money on Yaya, man. I think Victor Henry is getting way, way overpriced for no reason, honestly. Like, this guy has a win over Ronnie Barcelos that didn't initiate no type of grappling in his own right in that fight, just basically standing banged with Victor Henry. Victor Henry was able to just basically implement his volume. And we've seen this type of fight already, man. I think Rafael Assunção put out the blueprint to really stop a guy like Victor Henry. You just make the fight your type of fight, you know, like you're Ronnie Yaya, and that's one thing that I think he's getting really undervalued coming off that KO loss to Montel Jackson, because before that he had tons of success. You know, he ended up beating a guy like Calhoun Kong that's basically I would say not a split image of Victor Henry, but the same type of style. Calhoun Kong likes to implement his volume, and the same thing with Victor Henry. I'm just not high on him to even finish Yaya. This guy has 6 KO wins out of 23 fights, 23 of his wins, and I'm just not high if he even gets this fight down to the ground. I'm real high on Yaya and his ability to sweep, ability to take the back from. Like, one thing I watched on Yaya, that he's real crafty whenever he tries to get your back. You just don't know when he's gonna hop on it. And Victor Henry has shown great takedown defense, but that was a guy in a straight wrestler like Tony Gravely. We've seen Rafael Assunção that has great grappling, great wrestling in his back pocket, and he was able to take advantage of those grappling exchanges and basically neutralize the type of volume that Victor Henry is going to bring, because he's not bringing the KO power. He's just going to put out like 100, 150 strikes, and that's going to look good to the judges. But I just think Ronnie Yaya is going to be in his face. I would really compare him to a Clay Guida in this fight. You know, he's going to be in his face, getting the clinch going. And if he gets the takedowns, I think he has good, decent control to really keep this fight down on the ground and just not give Victor Henry any type of big moments on the feet. So give me Ronnie Yaya money line, and actually put out Ronnie Yaya at plus 430 on the Slick report. He's already down to plus 390. So a lot of people are looking at it. And I also said on when we was recording that this really gives me Javiv Basharat versus Amos Zahabi vibes. Javiv Basharat, really good type of guy, not as dangerous. It's gonna make the fight close no matter what. Victor Henry, I just don't think he's gonna have those moments that's gonna give Yaya a deterred to not go back to that takedown over and over again. So give me Ronnie Yaya money line.
Wow. Big underdog there. Look, the line is wide. So if Slick sees some value in the matchup, the stylistic breakdown that he just gave you, why not take a sprinkle on the big dog? Mr. Plus says pass, but lean in Henry. I'm going to do the same thing as Mr. Plus. I'm going to pass, but lean Henry. If he can defend the takedowns, he'll be all right. But hey, maybe that's easier said than done. Yaya is a nasty grappler, man. So if it's on the floor, this line is going to move quickly in the live market. And Slick's got a plus 440 tag in his pocket. That might look good heading into round 2 or 3 if he's getting his grappling going. So I'm not mad at the angle there. Certainly for the odds, I won't be betting Henry. That's for damn sure. I like the value side they're on. That makes a lot of sense from his breakdown. Next fight on up the card. And guys, this one is definitely one that I'm looking forward to. We have the Dirty Bird, Tim Means, taking on Uros Medic, very skilled kickboxer here. Right now, the odds sit as such. Tim Means plus 250 dog. Medic minus 310 favorite. As much as I wanted to get to Tim Means on the dog side, I just couldn't do it, man. I think Uros Medic just snapping shots, younger guy, faster guy, more skilled kickboxer is then going to end up getting it done. We know how tough and hard-nosed Means is, right? He's going to give anyone a competitive fight, but at this point, he's 40 years old. I'm not saying the toughness has faded, but I think he's just going to be at a serious speed disadvantage. So look for that snapping jab and maybe the kicks of Medic to be landing. I think he gets this one done. Maybe, Means is able to take it to the cards and keep it competitive, but Medic, I think, will end up getting it done. Slick, how do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, man, I would say I'm probably one of the biggest Tim Means bettors in the world after him cashing against Andre Fiallo, his last fight, man. Impressed me, cashed millions. I said millions, a lot of money on him. But this is just a bad stylistic matchup for him, man. Like Uros Medic, the one thing that we was concerned about him going down to 170 him going up to 170 was just how his strength and his size was going to falter to a lot of these guys. And, he fought a big, decent guy in Semi the Jedi in Semmelsberger, his last fight. And there was a worry about, his Semi size and his power. And Uros Medic, man, he from what I've seen, he took a lot of good punches. He was hurt, I think, in the first or second round early.
Yeah, Semi dropped him.
Yeah, so, and that was the one concern, him being able to withstand the power, because what we've seen from Uros Medic is that he's not looking in there to get to decision. He's looking in there to get the fight to wherever keep the fight wherever he wants it at on the feet. So I just think Tim Means is not going to be able to get the grappling going against Medic, and he's just going to be able to keep this fight on the feet and land the more damaging shots. I'm going to respect the Tim Means, and I'm going to just say he at least lasts to the third round, where I think Medic at least put some more what's the word I'm looking for? More damage from the first and second round, and third round you're just going to see Tim Means just falter to the damage. So give me Medic money line and Medic by KO.
Uros Medic KO. Hey, Mr. Plus, the last 2 times that Means has been finished, both by submission. Morono guillotine choked him, and he also got Darce choked by Kevin Holland. Those are 2 damn good fighters. He was in a split decision against Max Griffin, guy not known for his subs by any means, right? So if this is a striking battle, do you think Means, the Dirty Bird, has a chance here as a plus 250 dog?
I do. I'm going dog, man. I swore after he beat the fight that you just talked about, it's like I would Fiallo. After he did that, man, I said I would never go against the Dirty Bird ever again. I lost money that night. I sure did. Was on the wrong side. But no, I'm not gonna lie. That Medic looks way better at 170. Stronger, bigger, filled out more now. The power's there. His hands are there. He's definitely got the speed advantage. But man, Tim Means has that dog in him, and he's got that heart, and he's got that no quit. And I just think if this does end up being a war, Tim Means, believe it or not, I feel like he'll outlast him. When you put on that muscle, sometimes it slows you down. I say that all the time. So I like the Dirty Bird. I like the experience. I love the Dirty Bird in wars. Now after he took my money that one night, so I'm gonna back him again. And listen, at plus 250, I think this line's pretty off, man. I could see it closer to Tim Means being like a plus 175, plus 180, and Medic being more like a minus 160 to minus 180 tag. So I just don't see how he's a minus two whatever he is.
Yeah,
Not
he's
there.
minus
Minus
310.
310. Excuse me. Minus
Yeah, no,
310.
I agree with that point. I do think it's a bit wide. Like, I'm not running to bet Medic and parlays or anything because of that reason. You're totally right. Means makes it dirty. I mean, he's got wins over guys who love to make it, I don't want to say, who fight in good, hard-fought fights, like Mike Perry, right? The battle axe Mike Perry. Nicholas Dalby, right? I mean, that guy doesn't go away, right? So, and then in his last fight, knocked out Andre Fialho, who we now know is maybe potential fraud check, boxing or bust. And Means will not go away. So maybe in the third round, if he's keeping it nasty, he's got a shot here. The odds are wide. Mr. Plus likes the tag on the Dirty Bird, Tim Means. Slick and I leaning towards Medic, but not necessarily a big bet. Slick, you like the knockout, maybe first knockout in a while for Tim Means.
I'm actually going to spread. I'm not going to bet Medic by knockout because if he's minus 310, he's probably going to be like minus 170, minus 150 around there by KO. I'm actually just going to sprinkle Medic by round 3 KO whenever odds come up.
There you go. Picking the exact round, looking for some value in this fight. Not mad at that. A little sprinkle, guys. Nothing too crazy on the exact round bets. All right, guys. Next fight on up the card. And by the way, we're into the main card now. So we have Jonathan Pierce taking on David Onama. This is a fun fight here. Pierce, the pressure grappler, right? Strong wrestler, will look to rinse and repeat takedowns, take you down, smother you, and keep you there. He's got chokes. He's got good ground and pound. He's just a nasty kind of fighter. In his last fight, he fought Joe Anderson Brito, and he was getting his grappling going. He was talking that shit. He was chirping Brito. He was like, what are you going to do to me? I can't remember the exact words he said, but he was chirping him, right? And all of a sudden, Brito turned the tides. He ninja choked him. He reversed the grappling sequence and hit him with a nasty little ninja choke that Pierce just could not get out of. He really battled, but he was gurgling and was not looking good. He got choked out, man. He had no choice but to tap. Impressive turnaround from Brito. So we know Pierce can get caught, right? I mean, he's been in some nasty fights, and more often than not in the UFC, he's been on the winning end. But he got ground and pounded by Joe Lozon as well in his debut. So, Jonathan Pierce, as tough and hard-nosed as he is, he can get finished. So now he's looking to rebound, taking on David Onama. Right now, Pierce minus 180, Onama plus 150. Onama's got striking power, man. He can bang. He's got pop in his shots. He was in a really good fight against Gabriel Santos, very skilled fighter. We've seen him in some scraps, right? I mean, against Nate Landwehr, really good bout in that. Onama is tough, and he will make you fight. So this is an interesting one. Slick, I feel like if Pierce can't get the grappling going and have his way on the ground, Onama plus 150 is going to be looking real good. I'm almost leaning towards the dog Onama right now. What do you think about this matchup and the odds?
Yeah, I actually think I'm going to throw a half a unit on David Onama in this spot. I just think that he's going to be able to. One thing that is real underrated about David Onama's game is his sweeps, his reversals. That he was able to. I think he fought Garrett Armfield Garrett Armfield, and there was some good grappling exchanges in there. And that's one thing that's real underrated about his game is the grappling exchanges. Like, he has 11 wins, 7 of them come by knockout, but 4 of them come by sub. And that's one thing that I think he's going to be able to just deter from Jonathan Pierce. Jonathan Pierce isn't that type of guy that would just go relentless takedown after relentless takedown. He's more of a try to set you up with his striking and then go for the takedown. I think David Onama is going to be able to take advantage of the fight on the feet and land the more powerful shots. But the one thing I really disliked about Onama is that a lot of these fights is that he has finished all of his wins. So Jonathan Pierce, from what we know, is one tough guy. He got finished from Joe Anderson Brito, but before that, he was basically dominating the fight until the 1 minute mark in the second round. So of course, if Pierce is able to have success with his grappling, I think he's able to wear on Onama. But I just think Onama, when the fight is on the feet, he's gonna be able to deter Jonathan Pierce from going from the takedowns with his punches. And David Onama has a good solid uppercut. Like we seen him knock out Gabriel Santos with it, and I seen him be able to implement that against Nate Landwehr when they fought. And I think if he's able to just at least show that, it'll stop Pierce from going from the takedowns. So give me David Onama half unit, but I'm not gonna go big on him, just half unit.
I'm kind of with you though. For the plus money, I got to take Onama now. Mr. Plus, we've seen Onama in some good scraps we were talking about before. I mean, his 2 losses in the UFC, Mason Jones, a guy that was sort of a blue chip prospect until he wasn't all of a sudden. But Mason Jones had to hold on for dear life against him. And Nate Landwehr, majority decision loss. Landwehr putting people out. He went all the way with him and almost beat him. You know, it's a really close fight. So do you think Onama, the plus money dog, holds some value here?
I think that there's value on it, but I just don't think that he can take Pierce. I think that you're right. This is it's striker versus grappler. Just I think the wrestler is going to be he's just so aggressive. I think he's going to be stronger in there unless he gasses out and he does that stupid first round. Give it everything you got, takedown after takedown. But I don't think so. I think he's smart. I think they are going to stand up a little bit. But then when Jonathan Pierce wants to, I think he's going to be able to take him down. Like you guys said in the Brito fight, he was winning the fight till he got caught, till he got reversed. You know, I think he gets that back here against Onama, who is a decent fighter, who is a good name to beat. So I like Pierce. I think the tag is exactly where it's supposed to be here. And I think he gets the job done. I might put him in a parlay.
All right, so Pierce with the wrestling and the grappling getting it done for Mr. Plus. I like the over 1.5 minus 200 as a parlay piece. Maybe I definitely see this fight probably going into the 3rd round at later stages. I think these guys scrap it out. And Mr. Plus, good point, right? Pierce is a tough dude. He has cardio, I think, to last even with that wrestling. He ain't going nowhere after getting really disappointed, you know, getting caught in that ninja choke in that last loss. I think he's coming with a chip on his shoulder, and I think this is going to be a good scrap. So I'm actually really looking forward to this fight. Let's see how it plays out, fellas. All right, next fight on up the card, we have another interesting one here. Jonata Denise taking on Austin Lane. Austin Lane, former NFL player, converted MMA fighter. He's an explosive guy. He's going to look to throw maybe a huge kick, close the distance, get his grappling going. Typically, he wants to grapple, right? But he will strike and throw big explosive shots to close that distance and get in close to see if he can get that grappling going. Like a lot of former football players like Matthew Semmelsberger, Semi the Jedi, right? These former safeties. They got pop in their shots for sure, but they lack some skill in the fighting department, right? And I don't know. I mean, taking on Jonata Denise, he's certainly very skilled, right? Skilled kickboxer here. If Denise is keeping the standing on the feet, I got to feel like he probably pieces him up. Pretty skilled with his kicks. Mr. Plus, do you think Austin Lane, giving the football players a fighting chance here in this MMA match?
No, I don't. I think he's on his way out, and this is going to be he's gonna get put out in the first in the first round. It's gonna happen in the first round. Denise it could be the future, man. This kid's real. Lane is just a wild man when he throws, and when he wants to get in these weird exchanges and then into a weird grappling, and it just doesn't work. He'll jump guillotine. He's like a weird heavyweight, or I don't know what's going on with him, to be honest. And he's a 36-year-old ex-football player. It's not like he was just in the league. You know, so the dude's running out of shape, I think. Yeah, I think he's on his way out. I don't see this guy being in the UFC that much longer. But this Denise kid's on the up and coming. I think this should be a nice highlight reel for him. I think Lane gets rinsed. I like first round KO, but it could be a sub too. It's kind of however Denise feels like it.
However he wants, says Mr. Plus.
I think he's primary a kickboxer though, so I like Denise to whoop his ass.
That's for sure. He's got hands. He's got kicks. I got to agree with you, man. Austin Lane, I don't quite see it. He fought Junior Tafa. He's supposed to fight Junior Tafa. Fight got canceled. Justin moves in, or was it the opposite? Did I get that? Did I flip that? No, I got it right. He was supposed to fight Junior Tafa. Then Justin jumps in, knocks him out. And Slick, I don't really know what they want to do with him here. If Denise puts him away, I agree with Mr. Plus. Probably pink slip fight, as they say, right? Do you think Denise sends him packing from the UFC?
Yeah, man. But honestly, I'm I honestly not really too high on Denise moving forward until he shows me something, because this is a guy that has great kickboxing before the UFC. But on that Contender Series fight, man, I was just not impressed at all. The hype for him was not really real for me. I understand that he's fighting Austin Lane, and he's probably gonna win this fight because Austin Lane, he's one of those guys that's just, you want to win, just fight Austin Lane, you know. So I think he's gonna be able to highlight KO him probably, but I'm just not really too high on him. I'll probably bet him by KO if the odds are good, but not parlay piece for me, because he doesn't really have that great of striking defense, and there is a puncher's chance for a guy like Austin Lane, but Austin Lane's chin is just too bad. Like, we seen Justin Taffa land one shot on him, and like any chance that we get what we watched from him, his chin just he reminds me of Greg Hardy, you know, except at least Greg Hardy at least had like 2-3 wins in the UFC. But Austin Lane, give me Janata Denise by KO.
Speaking of Greg Hardy, guess who has a win over Austin Lane? Greg Hardy beat him. That's not good. That's not good. Greg Hardy was not a good MMA fighter. I hate Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy, if you're watching this, you suck. Next fight on up the card, we have Karine Silva taking on Ariane Lipski. This is a fun fight here between these two ladies taking each other on. And Karine Silva is on an absolute tear right now. She's a grappling menace. Her submission game is filthy. Her striking looks much improved as she continues to build herself. She's speedy. She sets takedowns up. She has really good timing with her grappling too. I like a lot of what I'm seeing with Karine Silva. And in her last fight, she avenged an old loss in her career. Funny enough, she had fought Marina Moroz way back when. And Marina Moroz, the boxer, submitted her. Well, Karine Silva got that one right back, submitted Marina Moroz, and now she can move on forward, avenging that loss. She gets Ariane Lipski here, the queen of violence, a fighter who's on a nice little win streak, right? 3 fights in a row. It's been looking really good. Kind of packed some muscle on, really matured in her game, and looks like a new fighter. So I've been liking the development of Ariane Lipski for sure. The odds for this fight sit as such, fellas. Lipski plus 130 dog, Silva minus 155 favorite. Also, interesting note on the rounds, under 2.5, minus 150, over 2.5, plus 120. This could be a good scrap here. Silva certainly maybe the under leaning there because of her finishing ability, right? She can put people away. So can Lipski when she's at her nastiest. Man, this one made me scratch my head a little bit. I want to lean Karine Silva just for the really great promise I feel like she has. But I think Lipski will give her a pretty good fight in this one. Mr. Plus, how are you feeling about the odds in this matchup between these two talented women, female fighters, I should say?
This is definitely going to be probably one of the better fights on the entire card.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited to see this one. I'm excited to see the Queen of Violence back, and I'm a little torn on this one. I mean, I do have a pick, and I'm going to give it, but I am still a little torn, even with my pick, because both of these ladies have made me some good coin. You know, they both made me money, so it's kind of hard. You know, I like to stick with one that continues to make me money. So they both made me some money. Man, you're right that Karine Silva is really developing on the feet, and you know, obviously in the grappling game, that's where she's got the good advantage here. Get this fight on the ground, and it's your fight. You know, take this to your world. I don't know, Queen of Violence, it's tough one to call. I'm leaning Karine Silva, especially with the minus 155 tag. I really like that line on her because she's a freaking dog, but it's not going to be an easy one. This is her biggest test yet. I'm excited to see how she does with this sort of competition. But yeah, I got to lean Karine Silva.
Yeah, it's definitely her toughest fight yet. I mean, you look at her grappling resume. It's not just that she's, you know, rear naked choking everyone, grabbing the back and finishing. I mean, heel hook, armbar, guillotine, darce, knee bar, guillotine. Those are just the last 5-6 fights that I mentioned. So she can get it done however she wants. But meanwhile, Slick, like Mr. Plus said, Lipski's been making me money too. I mean, I've been betting Silva submission, and that's been great. But I remember betting on JJ Aldrich to beat Ariane Lipski, and that was one of the worst bets I've ever made in my life across any sports. Like, I'll never, ever forgive myself for that. 10 lashings for Brasco. After that, I bet on Lipski 2 more times and split decision win over Melissa Gatto. And then she armbarred Casey O'Neill. Thank you very much, Lipski. like Mr. Plus says, it's tough to bet against someone who's been making you money, but I kind of agree. I lean Silva for her grappling skill. What do you think about this matchup stylistically? How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, man, this was one of those types of fights that it was just going to be tough to call because both these girls are, like you said, violent in their own right. We've seen Lipsky actually improve in her striking because Lipsky was one of those types of girls that, you know, if she wasn't able to get the striking going, she just basically got knocked out. And it happened against like a girl like Priscilla Cachoeira and girls like that. And I just don't think that these girls are gonna go to the judges. I'm actually gonna be hammering the under 2.5 at
Wow.
-150. I'm gonna put 2.5 units on it. I
Damn.
like Karine Silva, 20 of her 21 fights have come inside the distance. 3 of her 4 losses have come inside the distance. So I just think Karina Silva is one of those girls that she's just gonna go all out in the first round, and you're either gonna survive the blitz or she's gonna gas out and she gets finished in the second or third round. And we've seen Lipsky, you know, one thing that we could say about her that's not really good is her chin. You know, she has been getting wobbled a lot. Not recently because she hasn't really fought the type of power punchers like Casey O'Neill and JJ Aldrich and Melissa Gatto that's not really a striker. So she really hasn't really got tested the last couple fights. But when she has fought good strikers, that chin has gotten really, really bad. So I think Karine Silva has improved in her striking. I'm going to lean her in this fight just for the all around game and better striking. But I'm gonna just take the under 2.5, man. I think this fight definitely doesn't go to the judges' scorecards. And we've seen whenever got Lipsky has gotten finished, it's been early. So give me Karine Silva, and I think she knocks out Lipsky.
Wow. 2.5 units on the under 2.5 there. Big bet on the under from Slick. All right, fellas, it's time for the co-main event of the evening. We have Ryan Superman Spann taking on Bogdan Guskov. This guy's back. I feel like the UFC wants to push him because he's an entertaining style of fighter, right? He's coming to bang, but I'm not sure he has the skill level to last with Ryan Spann. Spann coming off a disappointing loss to Anthony Smith, and I don't know what to think about him after that. He certainly has knockout power. He's got nasty chokes as well. Guskov, much less experience, at least at this level. Mr. Plus, do you feel like Guskov has a puncher's chance as an underdog in this spot?
No, absolutely not. And this is my lock of the week, boys. This is going to be an easy one, man. You're telling me Guskov is going to fight Spann? They're moving him up that fast. This dude was just in the top 8 before that bad loss to Anthony Smith. Listen, Guskov, I don't see anything special from this guy, man. A puncher's chance, maybe, but I don't think so. I think he's getting in there with a bad man. I like Spann. I like what he's been doing. I see a first round guillotine when they're dry. Remember, that's what he was doing before those L's. He was just locking people up and nobody could get out. I think it happens again here, man. Everybody's gonna pick the KO too, so I don't really like that bet. I like the sub, man. I like the Ryan Spann Superman sub. He's got that super grip. When he locks you in that guillotine, there's no escape. I think again, first round while they're dry. Guskov just hasn't shown me anything, man. They're just moving this guy up so fast. He just fought. Nope, not into it. I think this is a perfect spot for Spann to get an easy L. Experience is going to play big, and don't forget how strong Spann is, man. I don't like Guskov at all in this spot, and I love the tag too. -205. This has got serious value. I might bet this shit straight. I really think you're getting your money's worth, even betting this straight.
Wow. Hey, for those watching, say -205 straight. By the way, I know professional gamblers who make a lot of money and bet huge that would find value in a -300, right? Just know that every line has implied probability. And if you feel like there's value in that Spann beats him 10 times out of 10, then there's value at -205, like Mr. Plus Money saying. Mr. Plus Money liking a -200. How do you figure that? Spann got the nasty guillotines there. Huge step up in competition, Slick, going from Zach Pauga to Ryan Spann. Do you think Guskov's got a shot here?
Nah, man. I honestly don't. I think Guskov cardio is gonna be the detriment in this fight. You know, he's first rounder bust, I think, and I just don't think he's gonna be able to really crack Span with something that's not good. Like Span could go to his wrestling also. We've seen Span go to it a couple times. And Guskov just, I don't think that he's gonna be able to. Like, he fought Zach Pauga his last fight. That really, he's basically a welterweight fight in that light heavyweight, and has no punching power at all. And he basically, all he is clincher bust. So give me Ryan Spann, and I'm actually gonna sprinkle the sub as well. Like, I think a lot of people are gonna be on the KO, but he actually has double the amount of subs than he has KOs. So give me Ryan Spann by sub.
Couldn't agree more, guys. He's the nasty squeeze on his chokes. I feel like he will go to his wrestling because that's where Guskov is at his weakest. And maybe he starts getting some ground and pound going. Guskov turns around, gives up the neck. Sayonara. That's exactly how I see it going.
And he also gave Volkan Oezdemir his first submission victory in the UFC. So I could see that same predicament, Guskov getting a little tired, they get sloppy, and the next thing you know, he shoots a sloppy takedown. Or even if Spann wants, he could probably take his back and choke him out with a rear naked.
There you go. Ryan Spann by submission is the look from the here this week. It's unanimous. Ryan Superman Spann. He's got to get back on track. If he loses to Guskov, his career is in major trouble. So this has got to be a win. Guskov probably going to go down the charts after a loss here. Fight someone more relevant or more appropriate than Ryan Spann, who's been in the rankings for quite a while and been battling some higher level comp. All right, guys, it's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing first, fighting. I feel like I said it last time. Bruce Buffer's going to sue me. We have Mateus Nicolau taking on Alex Perez, coming in on short notice. Nicolau is supposed to fight Manel Kopp in a rematch, a highly anticipated rematch. These guys fought an extremely close fight first time around. Kopp out of another fight. Super bummer, man. We want to see Manel Kopp fight. It's got a ton of potential. He just can't make it to the ring, whether it's injuries or cancellations or what have you. It just hasn't gone his way lately in terms of health or opponent. And now Alex Perez jumping in for another opportunity. Perez just fought Muhammad Mokaev in a pretty good, close fight in his last bout, but just wasn't quite able to get it done. I thought it was a tight one, but Mokaev was able to edge it out on the judges' scorecards. And this one, guys, is a 5-rounder in the main event. Over 4.5, plus 114. Under 4.5, minus 145. So odds makers kind of setting the odds favoring no distance, but setting it at 4.5, thinking it might go fairly deep. So this one's interesting, guys. We know Mateus Nicolau is pretty skilled overall. I really like his lateral movement, side to side. He's got good footwork, and he's explosive with the shots. Of course, he's coming off a knockout loss to Slick's favorite fighter, Brandon Royval. Caught him with a nasty knee up the middle, shut his lights out. Now he's fighting a guy that was less dangerous with his striking, certainly, than Perez. Perez, we know, has good calf kicks, but is more known for his wrestling, right? So I don't know if Perez is going to have success wrestling here against Nicolau, who's got good movement and good defensive grappling. He's got, is able to, I think, end up on top perhaps in this fight himself. So for me, fellas, I'm just not quite seeing how Perez has success through a 5-rounder in this one. I don't think he can win 3 of those rounds. I like Nicolau minus 185, potentially as a parlay piece. Mr. Plus, how are you seeing this fight?
So this is not my favorite fight on the card. I know it's the main event. It's just not, and people probably aren't gonna like my opinion on this one, but I don't see enough from Nicolau, man. Perez's losses are valid, truly valid. The Mokaev loss. Look who else he lost to: Figueroa and someone else really good. Like his 3 losses are from top tier guys that everybody loses to. I think this is a good spot for him to maybe bounce back, man. I don't think, and if he doesn't, maybe he's not done. Maybe, and if he doesn't, maybe he is done. But I don't think he's done yet. So it's one of those spots where I think he gets his lick back. And maybe if he does, he can break into that top whatever it is. I think Mateus is what, 8 or something like that. So yeah, I would take a shot on the dog here if anything, but I'm not really loving this fight whatsoever. Like I said in the beginning of my take, but if I had to lean one way, I'm actually going Perez.
Going Perez. I mean, to be fair, your point is valid, right? He's lost to Davison Figueiredo, Joseph Benavidez, Alexandra Pantoja. I mean, good losses there, right? And it was a good scrap against Mokaev. He gave him a run for his money. Slick, do you think that Alex Perez on short notice here is a live dog in this spot?
Yeah, man. I actually threw a unit on Alex Perez money line in this spot. I just think that Mateus Nicolau, before that Brandon Royval fight, was probably one of the most boringest fighters in the UFC. You know, him being so tentative, just being the counterpuncher that he is, and trying to implement his grappling and wrestling. But I just don't think he's gonna be able to deter Alex Perez from striking with him. And and the one thing I think that knockout loss to Brandon Royval is just gonna make Mateus Nicolau even more patient, even more subtle to not really engage in those brawls. And I just think Alex Perez is gonna. This fight could really become just like that Mokaev fight. I think Mokaev. I mean, Alex Perez did not settle at all any type of position with Mokaev. And Mateus Nicolau isn't that great of holding people down. And I think Alex Perez had great awareness to get the back, get his back against the cage and get back up and land some shots that really made Mokaev just basically go for takedowns every 30 seconds. And Mateus Nicolau is not that type of fighter. You know, he goes for his own takedowns, but it's more like Jonathan Pierce, try to set you up, to get you asleep with the striking a little bit, and then go for the takedowns. I just think Alex Perez is going to get that calf kick going. And I think his striking is more merited to at least implement some type of damage to Nicolau to keep the fight standing. And if the fight is standing for at least 3-4 rounds, I give Alex Perez a real good shot to really win this fight. And one thing I like Mr. Plus said, he has fought three straight grapplers, you know, in his own right. And Brandon Roy, like what I've seen from Brandon Royval, man, those types of KOs change people. And if he comes in here tentative, I think Alex Perez is just going to come in here on short notice. One thing that we've seen about Perez is that he has a great gas tank. Even in that third round against Mokaev with that type of pace and grappling going, he was able to at least get. I think he won the I think he won like the latter of the second round and then the third round. So I think it's a good spot for Perez, man. Give me Perez money line at plus 145.
There you go. Slick and Mr. Plus both liking the dog in the main event. I'm leaning towards Nicolau. I think that, to your point, Slick, about him being kind of overly defensive and not really engaging so much, that can also be tough for the opponent. Like, I don't know if Perez will be able to find him so easily. Like, he'll just be moving around the cage laterally for so long, landing his little jab or leg kicks or something. I think Perez might get frustrated, perhaps. But to be fair, coming off a brutal knee knockout, maybe he'll be changed, right? Maybe he'll be too tentative, engaged, and won't score any points. And maybe Perez, his aggression will get it done. Will be able to get it done. I kind of thought he beat Mokaev. I actually bet Alex Perez against Mokaev. Mokaev was shooting prayer takedowns, getting his head stuffed against the mat. Like, it looked really ugly. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing. Normally the judges look for aesthetics. And I thought Perez stole that one, but they gave it to Mokaev, the young fighter. Perez is definitely a live dog in this one. 5-rounder. I'm going to go with Nicolau, but I expect it to be a good fight. And I think it'll go the whole way, and maybe we're looking at a close decision. So there you have it for the main event. What a great episode of the Darce. Guys, before we close out, what is the Darce parlay? I mean, this is what we do on the show. We put together a little parlay action. We owe the people a winner, man. We weren't able to get the UFC 300 dog Darce one, the PFL one. Logan Storley let us down, so we always own all our losses. We got to get you guys back. We're liking Span, right, Mr. Plus? Slick, weigh in. What do you guys think should be added to the Darce parlay?
We could do Span. Maybe do we really want to trust Denise in that spot, like against
Joe? Not. I don't.
I like Span. I like Souza.
We all like Souza. We all like Souza.
Span and maybe I
don't want to parlay Petrovic.
Right.
Span, Fade Man, and what do you got next?
Span, Souza.
Maybe I say you on Gabriel Benitez, so I was gonna say Mahashate.
No way, I'm parlaying Mahashate. No way, bro.
How about Silva? You want to go Silva?
I really like Mahashate. I think he wins for
sure. We all do like Karini Silva, though.
That's a tough parlay piece.
That's a good fight. I know, right? It's a good fight. Span,
that's a money line
Silva, though. Triple S.
Oh,
Souza.
I'm down to put Montel Hayes in the parlay.
Dontel May. He said
Dontel,
Montel Hayes.
Dontel. Oh my, that Blaze. I did take a huge ripski before we started.
Montel Hayes sounds like a.
Montel Hayes. I sound like when they called him in the movie Willie Mays in the first Major League when they call him something else. What do they call Wesley Snipes?
Or we
Willie
could
Mays
do
Hayes.
over maybe.
Dontel. Give me Don. No, I can't take him.
Yeah, I was about to say I ain't putting downtown in parlay. Man.
We're sitting here at the end of the Dars, battling to get a third leg. Do we need a third leg?
Yeah, because Sosa's like minus 330, so that'll probably
for sure.
Ugly.
What's the two leg? What's the two pieces?
Hey, it's
Souza?
-1. It's -110 right now. You know, I ain't
Dude,
mad
that's a solid parlay. I think if you guys hit a two piece that claps, I think they'll be much happier if that claps versus trying to chase more plus. But Mr. Plus is Mr. Plus. So what do you think?
I don't know.
I'm not mad at that, man.
It sounds solid, but
all right.
Is there a fight we're missing that we all liked?
I mean, we basically got back to even money, right? We're right there with two fighters we feel pretty confidently in that have a big advantage. And
you took our who we liked in every fight. So is there anyone that we all like together? Anything else?
Other than go ahead, Slick. Sorry.
No, I'm saying I think y'all like the Hubbard. Maybe Medic. Oh no, Mr. Plus is on 10
He's on means.
Yeah, I'm on the Dirty Bird.
And I don't want to parlay Medic at -310. That feels gross.
That's what I'm saying. Unless we add a overplay or something, like maybe the over in the Pearson Onama fight.
Oh, I like it.
That's
Plus
like,
183. Can we get with that, Mr. Plus?
Yeah, of course. That sounds
okay.
solid.
Ryan Spann, Ketlin Souza, David Onama, Jonathan Pierce over 1.5, and we're at plus 183. Take that shit to the bank.
Let's get it.
3-2 Leafs.
There you go. Mr.
Cal,
Plus sweating out a 6-leg parlay he gave out to the people, hoping he can cash that one. Watching some
Not gonna happen today. It's all right.
Go,
let's
go.
Let's go. All right, fellas. We've done it. Another episode of The Dars. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe, smash that like button, leave a comment. Let us know who you're betting on. Are you riding with any of us? Do you think we're absolutely crazy and garbage for any of our picks? I don't care what your opinion is. Just leave it in the comments. Then I'll care. Good looking out. Thanks for watching and thanks for making some time, Mr. Plus Slick and our guy Cal on the 1s and 2s. And let's cash some fight bets, guys. Salute. UFC Fight Night picks from The Dars.